Hey, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, everyone. So here today, I'd like to present my presentation of my article. And for the first, I would like to say thank you for all of the committee that held this event. And thank you for English Language Teaching, Literature and Translation International Conference, August 2022. And first, let me introduce myself. I am misyi Gusthini, come from Universitas Pajajaran, and also I would like to say thank you for Universitas Negeri Semarang to help this international conference. So today I'm going to present my paper entitled Language and Power, Positive Politeness in Indirect Speech Act on United States and Ukrainian Presidential Transcript. Unfortunately, my paper is written by four writer, and they are all my professor because they are all my promoters in my dissertations in my doctoral program. But here I'm only will present my papers and I represent all of my professors. They are Lia Maulia Indrayani, Dr. Alfi Citra Resmana, and Dr. Rosaria Mita Amalia. So here is the introductions of my paper. Yeah, as we know that 2019 become unforgettable years for all of the people around the world, because this is the time when the coronavirus is come and spread and infected almost all of people in this world. But before the coronavirus spread around the world, there are also so many big issue come. As we know, example is like when RUU Cipta Kerja make some accident, and also it causes some of people died outside there. And also we cannot forget about the impeachment inquiry that proposed by the United States American people. And if we take a look at the reason why this impeachment inquiry appear is caused by the phone or telephone activity which held by the United States president and Ukrainian president. Yeah, they are Donald Trump and also Zelensky. So here the writer sees that there is an activity that is called telephone call, and both of them are the presidents of a country, and in this call transcript, both of the presidents try to keep positive politeness each other, so they try to keep their their positive face each other because they keep good relationship. And also in the data, the writer see that there is indirect speech accused in speech classification use, and also there is a power dimension in an utterances uttered by Trump to Zelensky. Here, because of Trump or United States give so many help, give so many what is it like for the war between Ukrainian with another country. Here United States try to give some help, including for some weapon and also money and also prosperity. United States here try to help Ukrainian. So this is the reason why United States or Trump feeling more powerful than Ukrainian. And the research question used by the writer here is first is how the use of indirect speech classification in the data. The second one is how the positive politeness strategy used by the two leaders intend to keep each other face. And the third one is how the power dimension used in the utterance which is politely produced. And the objective of study here first is to investigate and explain how the use of indirect speech classification. The second is to investigate and explain how the use of positive politeness strategy by two leaders of states. And the third is investigate and explain how the use of power dimension appear in utterance politely. Yeah, and in my paper analysis, use two famous theory of language, that is speech act and politeness strategy. As we know, speech act is the theory to know or this is the theory how we can know what is the intended meaning of the utterances. So, meanwhile, the politeness strategy is we know that how to use language to be a media to keep others person peace without make our hearers feeling threatened by our language that we use. Meanwhile, the power here is which is usually seen from an actions will be analyzed from the linguistic point features, that is language, with Weber concept, that is power dimensions. So this one is the theoretical basis. So here the focus of the writer is using the pragmatic theory. And while the pragmatic theories consists of the speech act and politeness strategy, meanwhile the discourse is language and power theory. This is some related theories. The first one, that is a speech act, is study of language influenced by the context used by the Tessa, Jatnika, and Arham. Speech act in Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono political speech. And an analysis of power relation in speech act in university. So here this research is about how is the speech act used between the lecturers to student or superior and subordinate communication, like when there is a head of study into the lecturers and others. And also there is language and power and empirical analysis of linguistic strategies used in superior subordinate communication. The focus of the study is politeness strategy in indirect speech act, and the finding is about for those in superior position usually use the positive politeness strategy. And language and power dimensions is pragmatic study of a speech act as instrument of power. United States presidential debate 2016. So here the finding is about there is a presuppositions used in speech act intended meaning, and also there is also the power dimension inside of the utterances. For the novelty of my papers, they are the data sources for phone call transcript. As we know that there are so many analysis from the debate, or maybe superior subordinate, or maybe from the lecturers to student. But here the writer tried to use the phone call transcript between two leaders of a state, that is Donald Trump and also Zelensky. Meanwhile, the previous research did not analyze those three theories together, that is speech act, politeness strategy, and also power dimensions. And here that make my analysis interesting in my point of view, because of the phone call transcript is the causes of impeachment. So here the causes of impeachment is caused by the linguistic phenomena. And the last is previous research analysis in a superior subordinate, where here's the speaker try to analyze in between two utterance uttered by the two leaders, so they are in same positions as the leader of a state. And the theories that the writers use is a pragmatic speech act, politeness strategy, as we know, and pragmatic in discourse, which a cover of language and power. As we know that there are very close or Weber concept, but here the writer focused with Weber concept. Yeah, here's the explanations of speech act theory. They are declarative, representative, expressive, directive, and commissive. The declarative is speech act that changes the world by utterances such as uttered by the presidents, or maybe we can say when some our superior child that we are fired, example, when it is uttered in one company, so this is valid, so this is part of declarative. The second one is about representative. This is kind of speech act state what the speaker believes to the case or not statement or fact such. The statement example is like the earth is flat, it's because of me. The utterance is come from me and I believe that the earth is flat. The third is expressive. This is kind of speech act state what the speakers feel. The fourth, directive, kind of speech act states what the speaker wants someone else to do something for them. Meanwhile, the commissive is kind of speech act use what the speaker commit for some next future actions. And for the positive politeness strategy, this is proposed by Brown and Levesen's theory. In Amalia, Citra Resmana, and Savolo also Putra divided positive politeness strategy into following 15 types. So the markers are notice or attend to hearer, his interest, wants, needs, good, exaggerate the interest, approval, sympathy, intensify interest using group identity markers, seek agreement, avoid disagreement, presuppose, rise, assert, joke, assert or presuppose speaker's knowledge of and concern for hearers' wants, offer, promise, be optimistic, include both speaker and hearer, give rise for reason, assume or assert reciprocity, give to hearers. So this one is for the schema of politeness strategy. Meanwhile, Jen Keting, here the writer found some related theories such as speech act or even politeness strategy in John Cutting. So the newest book, it's on John Cutting 22. About pragmatic study and discuss study are study which learns about meaning of sentence influenced by context. It can be verbal or non-verbal. Context here means consists of situational context, background knowledge between speaker and hearer, and contextual context between writer and reader. And for language and power, equality of power is not always seen through speech acts such as ordering, but power can also be seen in dialect activities such as the relationship between parents and children, superior, subordinate, or between police officer and citizen. But here the writer sees that the inequality of power also can be seen between two of leader, even they are in the same position as a leader. But we can see that the country which helped the most for the, like we say, the country which is maybe more weak than the powerful one, they are in different position of power. And for Weber, he proposed 3 dimensions of power. They are class dimensions. It is content about economical situation, party or powers about the politics, and status or prestige is about class. And this is the method. Actually, the writer used the descriptive qualitative method, and the data is the utterances from President Trump and President Zelensky. So here, the finding and discussions for the representative one, it is uttered by President Trump. Remind, it is in page 2. I will say that we do a lot for Ukraine. We spend a lot of effort and a lot of time, much more than the European countries are doing, and they should be helping you more than they are. The context is, since 2014, United States has committed more than 3.3 billion US dollar in assistance to Ukraine, including security and non-security assistance. And the Indirect Speech Act is, I remind you, we spend a lot of effort for Ukraine. Trump implicitly boasts himself or his state because United States more powerful and did help Ukraine for a long time. And for the politeness strategy is Trump assert what United States give for Ukraine. And for the power dimension here is United States has a better economic shape than Ukraine. It is, and for the profits, we can see from the economical side from this both country. And for the expressive point, here is stated by the President Zelensky. The indication is thanks. The utterances is, we did win big and we work hard for this. We worked a lot, but I would like to confess to you that I had an opportunity to learn from you. We use quite a few of your skills and knowledge, and we are able to use it as an example for our elections. And yes, it is true that we are unique elections. The context is Zelensky really thankful to President Trump. From the utterances also seems that Zelensky gives sympathy to Trump because they are in good relationship and wants to make a better state relationship by agreeing with each other's statement. And for the Indirect Speech Act, but I would like to confess you that I am thankful. So this is part of expressive, thankful, because I had an opportunity to learn from you. We use quiet for your view of your skill. And for the politeness, here the sentence can be identify as seek agreement or even give sympathy to the hearer. And for the power, United States has more power than Ukraine. It's still the same as the data before. And for the directive, so this is stated by the Trump, with the indication asking, the utterances, I would like you to do us a favor too, because our country has been through a lot and Ukraine knows a lot about it. I would like you to say, I would like to find out what happened with this whole situation with Ukraine. They say cross strike. I guess you have one of your wealthy people. The other thing, there are a lot of talk about Biden's sons, that Biden stopped the prosecution, and a lot of people want to find out about that. So whatever you can do with Attorney General will be great. The context is Trump and his personal attorney, former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani, have accused Biden of corruption over his pressuring Ukraine to fire a prosecutor who reportedly oversaw a probe into the owner of a Ukrainian gas company, Burisma Holding, of which Hunter Biden was a board of member. So here actually Trump tries to ask for some additional informations about Biden, so Trump can use this information to sabotage Biden for the next campaign for United States presidential campaign into 2020. And the Indirect Speech Act is, I would like to ask, the Indirect Speech Act is ask you to the as a waiver to, because our country has been through a lot and Ukraine knows a lot about it. And for the politeness is about assert reciprocity, and for the powers, how that power dimension control the people who is powerless than the speaker, like political, ideological, or religious. So here the power that appears is about power dimension. And for the last is commissive, it is uttered by President Zelensky with the indications of assure. For me as a president, it is very important and we are open for any future cooperation. So it is about some promises for future actions. I just want to assure you once again that you have nobody but friends around us. So the context here, Zelensky always give positive utterances in order to assure Trump that he will doing his best about Trump requests. And Trump has said we do a lot for Ukraine. And in direct speech, I just recall our ambassador from United States, and he will be replaced by a very competent and very experienced ambassador who will work hard on. So here is, I promise you, he will making sure that our two nations are getting closer. And for the politeness is seek agreement to the hearer. For the power dimension that appear from this utterances is President Trump has a power as a president, and Zelensky has a power also about Ukraine political scene. So it is about the power dimensions. So for the conclusion, we can see that from the data, there is a relation between power and language, since the analysis proved that power can be found from the utterances through the language. From the utterances also there is implicit meaning, which explain that through language there are some impacts, such as someone who are doing something for the speaker, feeling less of power, or even doing power abuse and make the society angry and ask for the impeachment. And the third is also answer the research questions of positive politeness used by these two leader from their state, as mark there is close relationship between two speaker, and how the way speaker agree each other is part of keep faces here to make the self-image is safe from threatened. Okay, actually, that's all my presentations. And I would like to say thank you for the time given to me. Here I will close my presentation. I'm misyi Gusthini. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.